So, I told you all that I don't think Bernie did well the first half of the debate. I think he came alive towards the end and did a good job with his closing statement and did a good job with certain instances of sparring with other candidates a little bit more than halfway through. He had some flashes here. Let me show you. This was about 25 to 30 minutes into the debate, and this is when the topic of Medicare for All came up. See, Bernie, actually in a very similar way to Trump, when he feels like what's happening around him and what people are saying is like dumb and stupid and unfair, that's when he argues the best. That's when he's most persuasive, and that's when he's doing his best job as a candidate, because you could tell he really means it. You could tell he really means it, and you could tell like he's annoyed at the shitty arguments other people are making or the shitty questions he's being asked. This is a great example of that right here. Take a look.
Senator Sanders, you basically want to scrap the private health insurance system as we know it and replace it with a government-run plan. None of the states that have tried something like that, California, Vermont, New York, has struggled with it, have been successful. If politicians can't make it work in those states, how would you implement it on a national level? How does this work?
Listen, I find it hard to believe that every other major country on earth, including my neighbor 50 miles north of me, Canada, somehow has figured out a way to provide health care to every man, woman, and child, and in most cases, they're spending 50% per capita what we are spending. Let's be clear. Let us be very clear. The function of health care today, from the insurance and drug company perspective, is not to provide quality care to all in a cost-effective way. The function of the healthcare system today is to make billions in profits for the insurance companies. And last year, if you could believe it, while we pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, and I will lower prescription drug prices in half in this country, top 10 companies made $69 billion in profit. They will spend hundreds of millions of dollars lying to the American people, telling us why we cannot have a Medicare for all single-payer program.
I just have to follow up there. How do you implement it on a national level? How do you implement it on a national level, given the fact it's not succeeded and other states have tried?
I will tell you how we'll do it. We'll do it the way real change has always taken place, whether it was the labor movement, the civil rights movement, or the women's movement. We will have Medicare for all, when tens of millions of people are prepared to stand up and tell the insurance companies and the drug companies that their day is gone, that health care is a human right, not something to make huge profits off.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Williamson.
When Senator Sanders says that Canada is single payer, there are 35 million people in Canada. There are 330 million people in the United States, easily the number of people on a public option. It could easily be 35 million. And for them, it would be Medicare for all, as Mayor Buttigieg says. But for others that want to keep it, they should be able to keep it. And I think that will be the fastest way to get where we need to go. Also, I will say, Bernie is a very honest person. He has said over and over again, unlike others that have supported this legislation, over and over again, that this will make illegal all insurance except cosmetic, except insurance for, I guess that's for plastic surgery. Everything else is banned under the Medicare for All proposal that he has put forward. I'd let you go
a little longer there, but obviously, Senator Sanders, you get a response. Senator Sanders,
just very briefly. You know, Mike, Medicare is the most popular health insurance program in the country. People don't like their private insurance companies. They like their doctors and hospitals. Under our plan, people go to any doctor they want, any hospital they want. We will substantially lower the cost of health care in this country because we'll stop the greed of the insurance companies.
Bernie pulverized everybody in sight there. First of all, the question, it's so stupid that it's actually offensive. I'm not one to get offended, but I am offended at that original question from Lester Holt. Like, how can we do it when there are, like, states that haven't gotten it implemented? Literally every other developed country on the planet has one version or another of a single-payer system. And your question, and you think it's a gotcha, is like, Is this even possible? Like, how can we even do it? It's so embarrassing, and it's so America-centric. This idea of just, like, sheer defeatism. Of, like, what? I mean, come on. Is this even possible? Like, how are we even going to do this? I mean, come on. Seriously? How are we going to do it? Oh, my God. The same people who would argue, like, we're number one, bro. America. We can do anything, bro. Like Joe Biden said, we're going to cure cancer. Somehow we could do anything and we can cure cancer, but catching up to the rest of the developed world with something like healthcare is... Nobody even knows how we'd get this done, bro. I mean, there's a lot of... And then Michael Bennett's fucking right-wing talk radio talking point there of like, but Bernie, there are a lot of people here. That's not a point. That's not a point. That's a non-point. That doesn't mean anything. Like, well, there's a lot of people here. So, yeah. And? What does that mean? Even if you accept that bullshit argument, which I don't, okay? But let's accept it for a second. Okay. Let's implement a version of Medicare for All, single payer, where you have a federal law that says each individual state has to make their own single payer healthcare system, and it will be funded through tax dollars at the federal level. Problem solved. This way, you don't have over 300 million people under one healthcare system. You technically have 300 million people under 50 separate single-payer healthcare systems, and you've broken it down at a smaller level. There, I addressed your totally incoherent bullshit point, which I shouldn't have wasted my breath addressing anyway. I mean, it's so embarrassing. And again, what did I say? This is when Bernie does best. When he's like offended by the stupidity of the question, he's like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like, seriously, this is the question you're going to ask as if you're a serious person. How much money does Lester Holt make a year? He couldn't figure out that every other developed country has a single-payer system. He couldn't figure that out. That we are the outlier. He couldn't figure that out. How are we going to do it? I mean, some states, haven't even been able to do it. Because of the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies, you jackass. That's why. Because they block progress every step of the way. Because they spend a tremendous amount of money trying to lobby against it, and they buy the political process and the politicians. You're a grown man, dude. You're a grown man. Oh, my God. And then Michael Bennett. I swear to God, he's a reformed frat boy. Like, Bernie, bro, I mean, like, I totally am in favor of healthcare and whatnot, But it's totally not rad that having to talk about healthcare is cutting into my surfing time, bro. Totally tubular, bro. Frat boy Mike Bennett. That's my name for him. Frat boy Mike Bennett. In Phi Kappa Zeta, we already just had healthcare through our parents, bro. So why do we really need to change anything? Rad, bro. It's totally rad to do non-single-payer healthcare reforms, bro. Rad. Oh! Anyway, this was one of Bernie's better moments, and thankfully this came actually 30 minutes into the debate or so pretty early into the debate. But in my opinion, for most of the first half of the debate, Bernie didn't do well, and later on he picked it up. But yeah. It's like, it's so annoying because these clowns debate shit that's not debatable, and that does a disservice to the country. Because it makes people think that certain things aren't possible when it's like, it's proven that they're possible. And in fact, they're the norm in the rest of the developed world. So that's why you guys come here to, learn about politics and have fun at the same time, because obviously mainstream media is not doing their job.